swiftly on.
Guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Now, I've had a couple of requests on how to draw a castle, so I'm actually going to do a little three-parter. The first one is going to be this one, which is going to be how to draw a medieval castle. The second one's going to be how to draw a little bit of an easier Disney castle, and the third one's going to be how to draw the whole Disney castle, which is going to be an interesting one as well. So, if you're interested in learning how to draw this style of medieval castle, then stick around and let's get drawing. Let's have a go at drawing a castle then. So, we're going to start with a hill. I'm going to put mine on a hill, so I'm going to draw that first. And it's going to have quite a long top to it, like that. So that's going to be my hill, so my castle's going to be about that wide. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the middle of this hill. I'm just going to draw a line straight up, and you'll see why later on. As usual, every line I do is going to be as soft as possible, especially at this point, because we need to be able to rub them out at the end, because like obviously this line we're not going to want at the end, it's just a little guideline, so make sure these lines are really light, because they're just to help us. So the first step to actually drawing this is we're going to draw two big towers. So they're going to start at the end here. One's going to be there and one's going to be there, where our mound starts to go down, so our little hill starts to go down. So what I'm going to do is draw basically two rectangles that are about the same. So I don't want to go too tall because we're going to do bigger towers than this as well, so I'm just going to go about that tall, go across. These don't have to be perfect at this point, because this is just a little starter, and I'm going to try and go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually draw a line really light all the way across, so I can see where I want my next tower to be, because I want it to be fairly symmetrical, and I want it to be about the same width. So I'm going to go with a finger's width. So they're going to be my two main towers on the front. Now, in between them, I'm going to go a little bit lower than this line that I've drawn across. So I'm going to step down to about here. And this is going to be how high my wall is. So I'm going to go from here right the way across. If you're not confident about drawing straight lines, you can use a ruler for this. But if you do use a ruler, just be careful that you don't push down really hard, because when I watch people use rulers, they'll always push really hard, and it means you can never rub out the line. So if you do, still make sure you're doing really soft lines. Right, so that's going to be the height of your wall. Now the reason we did this line down the middle was so that we can get the gates as central as possible. So for this we're going to draw another rectangle that's going to be roughly about the same width as this, maybe slightly wider. So I'm going to go up to this line, and I'm going to go across, and I'm going to go down the same width. So I want this here to here to be about the same as here to here. It doesn't have to be perfect. As you can see, I can see already that actually that gap there is a little bit bigger than that gap there. So I'm actually going to change that by doing that. I think it's because I didn't actually put my line straight down the middle. I think it needed to be a little bit further this way, probably more there. I do apologise if my voice is a little bit croaky. It seems to have vanished because I've been in school all week, so I think I've been talking too much. There we go, right. So we've got our two main towers. This is going to be our middle tower that's going to have our gates on. So then behind this middle tower we're going to have like a main keep. And what we're going to do for this is we're going to draw a large rectangle, so it's going to be bigger than this. So this is all us just planning out our towers. I know at the moment it doesn't really look much like a castle, it looks like a bunch of rectangles, but that is the point. So I'm going to go straight up from here, I'm basically going to draw a rectangle on top of here, and it's going to go it's going to go higher than these, and then I'm going to go straight across, and then this gap here, we want to aim to make the same gap here, roughly. Again, this doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. I just quite like to try and make things symmetrical, especially things like castles. I do think they can look a little bit better if they're symmetrical, especially this type of castle. Right, so that's going to be, as I said, our main keep. Now on this side and this side, we're also going to have two slightly larger towers. So the way we're going to do that is, what's things in the way, is we're going to draw two more long thin rectangles, and this one here we're going to leave a little gap from here to here. We're going to go straight up. Again, you can use your ruler if you want, but try to use soft lines because you're going to probably go over them at the end and rub out certain ones as well. So it's going to go about the same height as this, and then I'm going to make it thicker, or about the same thickness as that tower next to it. And then I'm going to go straight across. It is a little bit thinner what I've done, but it'll look fine, I reckon. We're going to do the same on the other side to make it symmetrical. So I'm going to go straight up to about here, and then go a little bit higher than that. Go across, and then finish off our rectangle, going all the way down like that, all the way down to the side of our hill or mound that we've drawn it on top of. And then our next step is we need to put our wall in place that's going to go between this and this and this. So I think I made that one a little bit taller over there. I'm just going to quickly make this one a bit bigger. There we go. And we're going to come just probably about between here and here, so about here, because it needs to link up with this. And I'm just going to draw straight across like that, and then I'm not going to keep on drawing, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. So that is going to be our back wall going between our two larger towers. So I've also got a bit of a cold, so you'll hear me sniffling quite a lot. So our next step is to actually put some detail onto here, because at the moment we've just got lots of rectangles, which isn't what we're aiming for at the end. So on the top of each of these towers we need to put what you call battlements on. And the way we're going to do that is by drawing a rectangle and then putting little rectangles on top of that. So basically, I'll show you what we're going to do up here. If this was the top of our tower, like here, so don't draw this bit now, we would draw another rectangle on top, like that, and then on top of that we look at drawing our battlement. So I'm going to draw a small rectangle like that, and then another one like that, and you can put as many of these on as you can, but basically there should be little gaps here which they would use to look through and also to fire things through. So we're going to do these basically on top of every one of these rectangles and also on top of the walls. So we're going to start by drawing this rectangle piece on top of every one of these towers. So it needs to be a little bit wider. So let's start with this one here. It needs to be a little bit wider than the tower itself, like that. Now the reason I showed you it bigger up there is because you might not be able to see this all that well, because I haven't drawn this absolutely massive. I maybe should have drawn it a little bigger, but we've started now. Try and make these roughly the same thickness on all of them. So we're going to do another one on this middle keep here. This one I might do a little bit thicker actually. all the main smaller towers, I would try and do the same thickness. Again, as usual, I am doing this quite quickly, just so that the video doesn't last too long, because again, no one wants to watch me draw rectangles for an hour, and also it takes a long time to upload if I make it last hours and hours and hours and hours. I'm going to do the same on this tower here. I think I've done all of them. That tower's got one, that one has, that one has, that one has. Our main one has. And then now we're going to do the battlements on top. So, like I did here, I would start with a smaller one on either end of them, and then do your ones in the middle. So if you watch me do this middle one first, I'm going to start on the ends. I'm going to do a slightly smaller one. Then I'm going to do a slightly bigger one. You need to kind of imagine that these are like Lego bricks, and you're leaving gaps like that. You're going to do that on every single one. Try and make them as kind of, you could say similar as each other. Similar as each other? You wouldn't say that. That doesn't make sense. You want them to be what they call uniform, which you want them all to look roughly the same size, apart from the ones on the ends. They should be slightly different. You're going to do that on every single one of your towers. Now take your time on this. Again, I know I'm doing it quickly. You can pause the video once I've finished them if you want to have a look and check that you've done them all. But I do try to make the videos not too long. This one as well. Another way of doing this, if you want to make sure they're all the same height, is you can actually just draw all the way across like that, and then cut it up into your battlements and just rub those bits out. So you just go over these bits here. Either way works, because we're going to go back and we can rub that out. And let's do this middle tower as well. It's quite tricky to actually get them all to be a similar size, but just try your best. Most likely the first time you've tried to draw battlements and a castle, or tried to draw a castle in this way, so it's very unlikely it's going to be perfect the first time. That's absolutely fine. Right, so I've done the battlements on top of every one of our towers that we've got. It's looking slightly more like a castle. Now I'm going to rub this bit out now, because it's actually going to end up getting in the way a little bit. As you can see, because I've used light lines, it's almost rubbed out perfectly. You can just see it, but not much. So on top of these, this sort of main part, we're going to also do two smaller towers. So I'm going to do, these are going to be like little watchtowers. Little rectangle. I forgot to add these at the beginning, but we're going back in now, like that. and again the other one wants to be roughly the same size and height, but if it's not the end of the world. We're going to put our rectangle on the top, our long thin rectangle on the top, as we do all the other ones. And then our battlements. Like that. Again, I've done that very quickly. Always take your time when you're drawing. But we are going to go back over all that probably at the end anyway. Right, so that's all the battlements done on our towers now. So on our walls now, we need to also do battlements, because all of your walls generally on castles, especially if it was used for fighting or protecting, it would have battlements on. So we are going to do the same as what we've done on the top of all of these, but on top of the walls. And the way we're going to do this is a little bit different to how we did this. What we're going to do is we're going to take that top line and keep it, and what we're going to do is we're just going to draw another line below it, like that, on every single wall. So that's a wall, that's a wall, that's a wall. And this one here I've done a little bit wrong, but I'm going to do that because I didn't have space to fit the second line in. So that's the top of that wall, 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 wall. So on the top of the walls, all you're going to do is, in the same way we did these, or the way I showed you to do this one, you're just going to draw lines down to split it up into where your battlements are going to be. Try and make them fairly equal distances apart, so leaving similar gaps all the way across. Like that. And then all you're going to do is you have now got basically, draw it bigger here, that, lots of lines between it, and all you're going to do is this. You're going to go up, you're going to follow these lines again, basically up there, across, down, across, up, across, down, across, up, across, down. So you're going to do that all the way across your walls, and then if you can, rub out these little bits in between. You're going to need quite a sharp rubber if you are going to do that. If not, you probably by the end won't actually see it anyway. You'll probably end up rubbing it out with your hand anyway. So yeah. Plus, I'm going to go over mine at the end as usual with a black fine line pen, and hopefully by then you won't be able to see the lines after I rub them out. Or you can just go over it a little bit darker with your pencil, pressing down slightly harder, because you know that that's what it's going to look like now. So it doesn't matter if you can't rub it out, because it's what it's going to look like at the end, which is what you're aiming for. And we've got battlements on top of all our walls now, so I would rub out all these little bits in between. I'm not going to waste time doing all of them, but you can see the idea. Yeah. Right then, so we're now going to do make these tops of these towers look a little bit better, because at the moment they just look like they kind of just sat on top. So it's actually quite easy to make these look better with just a couple of lines. So all you're going to do is, again I'll show you at the top here quickly. So if you have your tower coming up here, and then your rectangle box on the top, and then obviously you've got your battlements there. And the way we make this bit look better is we draw, basically make a little triangle here, but we're going to draw a diagonal line from here to the actual tower. So we're going to join up like that. And that's going to make it look like it's not actually just sat floating on top of the tower. So you're going to do that on every tower. And then in the middle, you're also going to draw something that looks like that, which is going to show that it's supporting this part of the tower. And then if you want, but you don't have to, you could also do, in between here and here, a little triangle on each one with a line across the bottom, just to show that it's been supported all the way across. Right, now they're not perfect, but I've done the top of every one of mine. As I say, when I go over it with a black pen, it'll kind of neaten it all up, so I'll make sure I do all the lines nice and straight and nice and crisp. So we now need to just stick a few details on it. So we haven't got a front gate yet, so let's do that. So the way you're going to do your gate is with a couple of shapes. So choose how thick it's going to be. Mine's going to be about that thick. So I'm going to draw a rectangle like that. It's going to be quite a big gate. Then on top of it, this is why we've drawn this line down the middle, we're going to draw a triangle like that, because that is going to be the shape of our gate. So once you've done that, all you're going to do is go up this line. You're going to curve that, so you can turn that into a curve, and then you're going to curve the top a little bit as well. Down, curve this corner, and straight down. And then we're going to put our bars on it. So this line here we're actually going to keep, and we're just going to draw some more. So you can kind of have, I guess, as many of these across here as you want. It's up to you. So these are going to be made out of metal, probably going to be iron gates. And then we need to have our bars coming down. So this line that was down the middle, we can now make a little bit darker. And then I'm going to have one, in fact mine's going to have quite a lot of bars. One there, one there. And then on the bottom of each one of these I'm going to do a little spike, which is just going to be a triangle pointing down. It's probably quite hard for you to see that, so I do apologise. And that's going to be our gate. Now in the corners above the gate we're going to draw a little cross made out of a couple of rectangles, which would be for archers to shoot through. Like that. And now on the rest of the castle we need to put some more windows and some more slits for archers to shoot through, and we're also going to put a few flags and things on. So on this bit here we're going to put some windows, and I'm going to start with one right in the middle. And my window is going to be a rectangle to start with, and on the top we're going to put a triangle like we did with this, and then we're just going to curve it all to make a window. Yeah, so start with a rectangle like that, stick a triangle on top, and then just curve it all. Any corner just turn into a curve. And you've got a window. I'm going to do a few across here. I'm just going to draw a line so I can make sure they're all about the same height. There are going to be windows there, and then I'm going to do some flags on top of these towers. This one here, I'm going to draw a straight line up, a flagpole, same on this one, straight line up, and the same on these two. And on top I'm going to draw a little flag. Like that. All I'm doing for my flag is doing a wavy line and then coming back and doing another wavy line and then coming back like that and putting it on the flagpole like that. Not the best flag you'll ever see, but it'll do the job. Again, you don't have to do flags like this, you could do normal flags and you could put a design on it, which would be cool. On the towers, we need to do some slits for the archers to be able to fire out as well. So on the towers, I'm going to do them in a line, in like a line coming round. And the reason for that is that is how the stairs inside would be. So they'll be able to stand on the stairs and look out of them. Likewise on these, I'm going to do a little slit. You don't have to do these, they are, I guess, optional. And the same on the other side. Mine are all that symmetrical either, but we're not too worried about that. And all we need to do now, basically, is I am going to put some what I call hints at there being bricks, because at the moment these don't look like the bricks. So if you're going to do hints at bricks, all you do is, instead of trying to draw every single brick, which takes a long time, you're just going to draw a few bricks the right size. So if this was my wall up here, I'd draw a line like this, and I'd go down, and draw another line, and I'd go down, and another line, so it looks like there's a couple of bricks. But before we do that, we need to draw straight lines underneath our battlements and our walls, because this would be a specific row of stone. So underneath our wall, we're going to draw a line across that, like that. Same on this side. And the same on these two walls up here. And this is where you can see that this tower is a lot taller than this tower on mine, because I can't draw this line where it wants to be. That's absolutely fine. I'm not going to go back and try and change it now, because I'll probably make it look worse. And then, like I said, on the walls, we're going to do these bricks like this. And I would just do them randomly. I wouldn't worry too much about where they are on the walls, and it just hints, as I say, that they're being bricks. Not bricks, I keep saying bricks, I mean stones. You could do so many towers as well. If you're going to do many towers though, I would try and do them a little bit curved like that. Because technically the towers, all the ones that I've drawn, would be curved. Quite a difficult thing to do. you're not too confident, I guess you could just not worry about putting them on the towers. Or you could have a go, and if you don't like them, you could always rub them out. Mine certainly aren't going to look perfect, but I do think it's nice to just have a hint of bricks and everything. Like that, and I think we are about ready, we're about finished and ready to go over it. So what I would do is at the bottom of these towers here, so where it meets the ground, I would firstly draw a curve on the bottom of the tower to show where the bottom of our tower is, like that. And on the bottom of the wall I would make sure that that line is there, and then I'll just neaten up that hill. And at the front, if you wanted to, you could draw a nice curve to show that this is the bit of land it's sat on. And I've actually not left enough space, but you could draw a drawbridge here, or you could draw a little bridge, and you could make it so that this is a moat. Or you could draw more defences or whatever it is that you fancy putting there. But that would be potentially where mine is, and you could even, I guess, draw a path coming up to the castle as well. Our castle pretty much finished. I'm just going to rub out all of the pencil lines with my rubber, and you'll be able to see what it looks like. And you'll also be able to see whether or not I've done soft enough pencil lines to actually be able to rub them out. I'm pretty happy with how this has come out. Hopefully you're happy with how yours has also come out. Definitely more you could add to this if you wanted to, and you could also just put towers pretty much anywhere you like, and obviously you can colour it in. There we have our castle. Okay, so just very quickly, had a go at colouring it in just so you can get an idea of what it might look like when it is finished. I didn't have a grey, so I've actually done that in pencil, so I've just kind of shaded it very, very quickly. This bottom half I've done really quickly, which is why it looks quite messy, but I just wanted you to be able to see what it might look like when it's finished. Obviously I've coloured in this moat, and I can give you an interesting fact about moats, because a lot of people wrongfully think that moats are put there to stop people from just walking up to the walls, because obviously they'd have to swim over it, but it actually is not the reason why moats are put in. Moats were actually put in to stop people from digging under the walls, because they'd have to dig under the moat first, and whilst they were digging under the moat would cause their tunnel to collapse, and then they would not be able to get any further. So there's an interesting fact for you about moats and castles. Okay, so if you enjoyed having a go at drawing a medieval style castle like this. Now, obviously everything that you've learned in this, in terms of how you draw the towers, how you draw the walls, how you draw the battlements, that can all be transferred into your own drawing. It does not have to look like this. It can be as long as you like, as tall as you like, and it can be as complicated as you like, or as simple as you like. All of it can be transferred onto how to draw a castle. So if you've had a go at drawing a castle and anything like this, or different, or whatever it is that you've drawn, I'd absolutely love to see it. So please do feel free to ask your parents to send it on Dojo so I can have a look, because it's my favourite part. So until next time, keep on drawing.